Peace and Pan-Africanism, black family. Peace and Pan-Africanism. This is the Prince of Pan-Africanism, Dr.Umar Johnson. I'm live and direct, 2300 Jackson Street. I'm in Gary, Indiana right now, family. Had to come into town, pay respect to my big brother Dennis. His mom passed. Rest in paradise, Queen Mother. And so I'm here in front of the house where the Jacksons live. Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, Ruby Jackson, Tito, Marlon, Jermaine, who I was named after, by the way. My mother named me after Jermaine Jackson because my mother was a Jermaine Jackson fan back home in North Philly. My father was a Jermaine Jackson hater. So as soon as they got married, he changed my name to Umar Johnson. But I had to come. Growing up as a little kid, I was a Michael Jackson fan. I used to do the dancing. I had the jackets. I was so mad when my mom didn't give me a ticket to go to the Michael Jackson concert when he came through Philadelphia back in the Billie Jean and Beat It days. But I just wanted to let y'all see I finally made it to the Jackson house. This is a place I just needed to come and feel the energy and just to see how much potential we have as a people. Michael Jackson came from poverty and went on to become the greatest entertainer in world history. Went on to become the #1 selling musical artist of all time. More than 1 billion albums. I mean, when you look at the Thriller album, Thriller by itself went 100 times platinum, I think it was. Just think about that. One album going 100 times platinum. Nobody even comes close. And we know Michael Jackson had his issues, family. We know Michael Jackson had his issues, family. But guess what? Michael Jackson was one of the first major artists to expose the corruption in the music industry. Michael Jackson was a business genius. He owned the Beatles catalog. He owned a good portion of Elvis Presley's catalog. And that's why Michael Jackson was murdered by Sony Records for refusing to give back, sell back the Beatles album, his ownership of the Beatles catalog and his ownership of Elvis Presley's catalog. When Michael Jackson married Elvis's daughter, y'all thought that was about lust. That was a business move. Michael Jackson was a shrewd businessman. His marriage to Elvis Presley's daughter had nothing to do with lust. That was about business, because it was through marrying her that he was able to acquire a piece of Elvis Presley's catalog. And Sony Records wanted it back. Michael Jackson wouldn't sell it. That's why they sabotaged his last album, Invincible. Okay, Sony Records sabotaged Michael Jackson's album, Invincible, putting him in debt to the music industry, trying to force him to sell back the Beatles and Elvis catalogs. Michael wouldn't do it. He decided to pay it off with that last concert he was working on. He was living over in Dubai, I believe, with one of his brothers. Came back to Los Angeles Staples Center to practice. He was going to raise the money to pay off the debt so he wouldn't have to sell the Beatles or Elvis catalog. And you know what happened next? They got a black doctor. There's always one of us. There's always one of us. You know what happened next? They got a black doctor to poison Mike, to kill Mike, Conrad, whatever his name was. And now he's out. He only did about 5 years. He's out. And I'm sure the music industry is going to take care of that coon for the rest of his life. He ain't never got to worry about another bill for helping him take out the greatest entertainer, greatest musician in the history of the modern era. So I just wanted to come and pay respect to Mike. I used to be a Janet Jackson fan until they said she told Bobby Brown he was too dark to be with her. You know, they're a little mixed up in Jackson world, but I love them, though, for what they did, for what Mike did, the whole Jackson family. You know, that's African genius right there. The Jackson family is an example of African genius. So I just wanted to let y'all know I'm here, 2300 Jackson Street. Shout out to Gary, Indiana. Shout out to my family back in Chicago. I'm not speaking. I'm in town to pay respects to a phenomenal woman who passed on today. My big brother Dennis, who's in charge of my Midwest security detail. You know what I mean? My executive protection specialist, his mom passed, and I had to come and pay respects. We got to always make sure we pay respects, brothers and sisters. Coming into the world is great. Going out of the world is even greater. And we got to make sure we're there to send people back to the Most High from which we came. So that's all I'm going to say right now. For my family back home in Pennsylvania, I'll be speaking at the Black Reserve Bookstore next Sunday, March 27th, the Black Reserve Bookstore. Free event from 2 to 6 in Lansdale, PA. Peace and Pan-Africanism from Gary, Indiana. One love.
You know who the first one was exposed to the music industry?
Who was that?
Sam Cooke.
Woo! And they murdered Sam, too.
expeditiously.
Murdered Sam too. And they murdered Sam. They got Malcolm February 21st. They took Sam out in December, like back to back, and they was friends.
Yep.
You know,